2021 Hayes City Commission meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. with all commissioners present. First item on the agenda is consideration of the minutes of the previous meeting. Any changes?
None.
Thank you. We have presentation of service awards to the city employees. Aaron Giebler.
Good evening, Commissioners. Aaron Giebler, Director of Human Resources. So today we get to do my favorite thing that I come in front of you guys and do, which is honoring our employees who have reached years of service milestone. And I can tell you, and I think you guys will agree, that our employees are amazing, and any recognition that we can give them is much deserved. So let's jump into the 5-year service award. Matt Winholtz. Matt is currently a park technician. He started with the city 5 years ago as a maintenance worker 1 and worked up to the park technician position. Scott Hyman. Scott was hired as a police officer for the Hayes Police Department and was promoted to Master Police Officer in 2020. He now serves as a police corporal. Eric Haas. Eric started with the Water Resources Department as a maintenance worker 1 and is now currently a maintenance worker 2. Orion Orth. He began his career with the City of Hayes as a maintenance worker 1 for the service division and was promoted to maintenance worker 2 in 2018. Alex McCune was hired as a maintenance worker for the Water Resources Department, and 2 years later, the Planning Inspection Enforcement Division stole him, made him an inspector, and he's now currently a senior inspector. Tyler Herman joined the Hayes Fire Department as a firefighter and was promoted to senior firefighter in 2019. This next guy you might know, he's in the crowd. We think he's wearing the same shirt. Jeff began with the city as the Assistant Director of Water Resources, and 2 years later did such a great job, he's promoted to the Director position. Toby Schmidberger, Toby is currently a senior plant operator after starting with the city 5 years ago as a plant operator 1 in the wastewater division. Moving on to the 10-year awards. Sierra Rupp. Sierra started with the city as a part-time receptionist in the city manager's office before being promoted to a full-time administrative assistant at the Hayes Police Department, and currently serves as the office manager over at the Hayes Police Department. Brandon Woods, he began his career with the Hayes Fire Department as a volunteer firefighter, and that same year was able to move into a career position and is currently a senior firefighter. Travis Johanna followed the same path. He started as a volunteer firefighter, and that year was promoted up to that career firefighter position and is now a senior firefighter. Bronson Scott. Bronson began at the solid waste division as a recycling collector and has worked his way up to the senior maintenance worker position. Next is 15 years. We only have one of those to give away. We have Carrie Turnen. Carrie joined the city as the golf course foreman 15 years ago and recently was promoted to the golf course superintendent. So while we only had one 15-year award, I'm excited to tell you we have 6 20-year awards. Another guy you might know, he helps us out a lot, Chad Reuter. He started with the city as an information system technician and in 2004 became the director of IT. Lieutenant Brandon Wright, he began his career with the Hayes Police Department as a police officer. 4 years later was promoted to sergeant and now works as a police lieutenant. Kurt Klein was hired by the Hayes Fire Department in 2001, was promoted to the fire lieutenant position until he took over his current role as fire captain. Mike Bacher started as a parks maintenance worker 1, worked his way up to his current position of park technician. Chris Rhodes, 20 years ago, Chris joined the city as a parks maintenance worker, and in 2002 he was promoted to park technician, and 2010 promoted to his current position as the park supervisor. Mark Pfeiffer, he has been employed with the Water Resources Department throughout his career, where he has held the position as a water plant trainee, plant operator 2, and senior plant operator. If you ever get a chance to tour the water plant, I'll tell you he's very knowledgeable, and he loves to tell you of all of them. And he's not the only one there, but man, you come ask one question, and you're going to learn a lot. The following 3 employees that will be receiving 25, 30, and 35 years are here with us today, and we'd like to recognize them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish reading off this list, and then I'm going to have them come up one at a time. We'll get pictures, and then we'll get a group picture. So I'll tell you guys when to come up. How's that? Okay. So 25-year award, a quarter of a century. Curtis Weber. Curtis started with the city in 1996. He has held the position as a refuge collector, maintenance worker, equipment operator, inspector, and is currently the project inspector. Moving on to 30 years, Mike Winholtz. Mark, see, I told him I would mess up. We have Mike, Mark, and Matt Winholtz. It's all in the same family. Mark Winholtz became the maintenance worker 1 in the service division in 1991. 7 years later, he took over the role of equipment operator and was promoted to the service foreman in 2008. 35 years. Don Stetzel. Don Stetzel joined the city in 1986 and has been promoted several times during his career. Maintenance worker, equipment operator, field foreman, water and sewer supervisor, service supervisor, and is currently the service superintendent. 35 years, I'm going to assume, Donnie, that you liked Chiefs the whole time? Okay. So if we can have Curtis Weber, if you want to come up, and commissioners, if you want to come up front, we'll get a picture of you with him. Just go up front there. It's a prettier background. John, if you want to get up there. Do you want me up there? Do you want to be up there?
No, I'm just
okay.
thinking.
Okay. All right. Why don't you look at John first? Okay, now let's look at me. 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thank you.
Congratulations, thanks so much.
Curtis, you can come down, but commissioners, would you stay there? And then Mark, look, I got it right this time. Mark, you can come up.
She gave me my instructions ahead of time.
All right, go ahead and look at Jesse first. And then over at me. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you so much, congratulations.
And then Donnie.
Congratulations.
I don't know if we want to put Donnie next to Sean with that.
Best dressed employee.
Multiple awards tonight. All right, we'll go to Jesse first. And then to me. 1, 2, 3. And now if I can get Mark and Curtis up there too, we'll get a group one.
Now with group. Let the guys get in the middle.
All right, ready? Look at me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, guys.
You got a date, I've got it. I knew it.
Don't make them suffer.
He touched it. He touched it. He touched it.
I want to give them some good luck. Yeah, they need it right now. Until they play us.
Thank you, Aaron.
How's the neighborhood?
Another guy with a nice shirt.
The next thing on the agenda is citizen comments. And seeing none, we have no consent agenda. Item 6, a 2022-2023 Waterline Improvement Design Engineer Services Award of Bid. Mr. Crispin.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jeff Crispin, Director of Water Resources. The capital improvement plan within the 2022 budget includes a plan to upgrade water lines and install new fire hydrants in various locations around town through the year 2026. Annually, we prioritize water line improvement projects by reviewing historical water line failure data and have selected 7 projects to occur over the next couple years. It is now time to hire a firm to perform design engineering services for these selected improvements. Unlike previous years, bid proposals were solicited for 2 years of worth of projects, so planned improvements can be designed and shovel-ready in the event construction bids become favorable, allowing for additional work to be completed next year or the following year. And so the individual projects we'll talk about. The first one, for 2022 construction, the total staff estimate is just at $816,000 is what we estimate these projects would be. The first one is a water line upgrade on 6th Street, and it goes from Pine to Montgomery Ditch, and that's approximately 1,500 linear feet of new water line. The second upgrade is 25th Street from Oak all the way down to Vine. That's the bottom one on the screen. That one is roughly 1,000 linear feet. And then the other one is 25th Street Terrace from Oak to Pine, and that's about 500 feet. So those are the ones that we'd like to design for 2022. For 2023, the estimated total cost is $785,000. First, the water line upgrade, bottom left of your screen, is 23rd Street from Hall to Elm. That's about 650 feet. Also, right above it, 24th Street is from Hall to Canal, about 675 feet. We also have in the top right of the screen a line running north and south. That's 27th Street to 29th Street. There's a 4-inch water main there that we'd like to upgrade. And then mention fire hydrants. So we have 5 fire hydrants that are listed on this visual. And some of these there's 3 of them that are mid-block hydrants here north of 27th. And then down here around Persian Court, there's a couple different hydrants. The reason why hydrants are selected, we work together with our partners in the fire department. We try to find areas that may be a long distance where a fire hydrant would be helpful for a couple reasons. One, helps us flush water mains. So if you have a long distance and you have water quality issues that you'd like to address, a fire hydrant will help you with that. Also for fire protection. And that also helps us with our ISO rating. They take a look at locations and the amount of hydrants that we have. So that is 5 of the 8. And then the remaining 3, there is one along a long stretch of Haney Street, 1500 block of East Haney. And then near 12th and Spruce and 12th and Maple, there's a couple hydrants there that are needed for location purposes. In 2020, to kind of talk about the previous water line project, I brought to commission to install a new water line along 19th Street from Hall to Walnut, and then Elm Street that went from 17th Street all the way up to 23rd and then over to Canal. The design engineer's estimate was $789,000, just under $790,000. The budget we had estimated in-house was $701,000, and when we opened the bids, the bid from J-Corp here in Hayes was just under $450,000. So there was a difference of about $260,000. And as I mentioned at the work session, Commissioner Musil had asked me, since it was so low, did we have other projects we could just add to it at the time and get those other projects taken care of? And we told Commission at the time, I said that no, we did not. But we'd come back this year and we'd bring some additional work so we could make that happen. And then that's our goal. So we solicited fee-based proposals from engineering firms for this design services for the water system improvements. On the 1st of October, we opened these 4 proposals from these companies. Inspection of the project. So when we get to the point, if you award tonight to the low bidder on the screen, we would start working with them on the design and engineering of 2022 first, and then we want 2023 shortly behind there. And then what I would do is I would come back to commission for award of a construction project, obviously. And any type of inspection of that project when we get into construction would be completed by the Office of Project Management in-house. This is just for the design and engineering phase of this project. So for funding, the $32,650 bid from Driggs Design would be funded out of water capital, and this is for just around $1.6 million worth of water line projects for the next 2 years. So that's what the total was on staff estimates. So tonight you have three options: authorize the city manager to enter into agreement with Driggs Design, direct us to another option, and or do nothing. And tonight, this is the action I would request, and I would stand for any questions.
I'll make a motion to authorize city manager to enter an agreement with Driggs Design in the amount of $32,650 for engineering services related to the design of various water distribution system improvements to be funded from water capital.
I'll second.
Been moved by Commissioner Musil, seconded by Commissioner Melick. Any other discussion, questions?
Jeff, have we been happy with the designs that Driggs have done for us
Yes.
in the past?
Yes, Commissioner. We've had multiple designs. Like I said, the most recent one was actually, and I didn't mention that, but this project was the most recent one that they did design, and it went very well. That project was a huge project. And, you know, obviously the dollar amount total with all these other ones, if you combine 2 years worth, it's about the same. So yes, I'm pleased with their design work.
Thank you.
Jeff, you know, J-Corp came in quite a bit lower last year. What happens this year if it's just the opposite, way over budget? Can we delay it a year? Or
Well, if we have them designed and engineered, they're on the shelf, they're ready. So we just have to work within what we budget. We budget on CIP every year. My goal is to try to do between about 800,000 and $1 million worth of projects every year. But I've kind of heard that some of the pricing is leveled out. We should see that rebound a little bit, but you know, we would want to stay within what we plan to spend. So our goal is not to come back to you with a construction project of 1.6 million. I'd like to do three of the projects right away.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Airport snow removal equipment building. Jamie Solder was unable to be with us tonight, but Mr. John Brown will go over the project for us.
Thank you, Commissioners. I am John Brown, the project manager, filling in for the director of the Hayes Regional Airport. The 2022 Airport Capital Improvement Program included money for constructing a snow and ice removal equipment building on the airport. Burns & McDonnell, the city's airport engineering consultant, submitted a proposal for doing the design on that building at a total cost of $363,637. The city share of that is right at a little less than $100,000, and we'll get into that detail after a bit here. But some background information first. Jamie has prepared a list here comparing the amount of airport equipment today compared to 1996 when the current airport maintenance facility was built. As you can see, they now have about 4 times as much equipment, and in the next few years they'll have even more. And so right now their equipment is spread out over 3 different buildings in various different places on the airport, and using every bit of available space. One of the requirements of the FAA grant money that goes towards snow and ice removal equipment is that it be stored and maintained within a heated facility. So having this building, this new building, would get everything into a heated building and meet the requirements of the grant that funds this equipment. So the project scope, the proposed building is estimated to be between 10,000 and 12,000 square feet, and includes an access road and a concrete apron area around the building. Not all of the space for this proposed facility is considered eligible for the airport FAA grant. There are 7 pieces of equipment that determine what is federally funded, part of the 90% funding, and that area is estimated to be around 9,000 square feet. So we'd have anywhere from maybe up to 3,000 square feet of the building that would not be eligible for participation with the federal funds. And those spaces would include some storage of materials and some personnel space that isn't really covered under the grant. And like I said, the space included, the footprint does accommodate the future needs that we see right now for additional snow and ice removal equipment. The FAA funding requires design by a licensed engineer qualified to do airport work. It also includes a independent fee analysis of the cost of the design and stuff like that. And we had all that done. Burns McDonald is our airport engineer who's done that sort of thing. Kirk and Michael was assisted in the analysis of their fee, and we worked with them in coming to a fee that was within their requirements of the grant. And then the process and schedule, basically, the FAA is asking for the agreement for the design to be submitted here in November, so hopefully we can get this taken care of. The preliminary design report is due in December. We have final plans for a bid opening in March, and for construction yet in 2022, at least to begin, even if it's not finished by the end of the year. As noted earlier, the design services for this project are $97,000 of the city's share is $97,000. The estimated total project cost is just over $3.9 million, and about $3.6 million of that is eligible for the FAA funding. So if we look at the chart here, the total cost is $3.9 million. The FAA would pay the $3.3 million. The city's share is going to be around $625,000, with $125,000 of that being coming out of water capital to do the looping of the water line, which is not an eligible FAA eligible portion of the project. So there are adequate funds available in the both the airport improvement fund and the water capital funds to cover the city's share of this project. And also the city share of eligible portions of this project can be reimbursed through the passenger facility charge, so which we've been doing that historically on most of the airport projects, where we could kind of recoup back the 10% that we have, our 10% share through that passenger facility charge. So the commission has the options shown here to approve the work authorization from Burns & McDonald, provide staff with an alternate direction, or to reject the project. And the action requested tonight is on the screen, and I stand for questions.
I move to authorize the city manager to execute work authorization number 3 with Burns & McDonald in the amount of $363,637, with the city's share $97,394.50 to be funded out of the Airport Improvement Fund.
Seconded.
Been moved by Commissioner Reuter, seconded by Commissioner Burgess. Further discussion?
This is probably more for Toby than John. Once this is built, will we be able to, or are we planning on renting out those hangars that we will be vacating?
Yes, either renting out the hangars or removing the hangars and leasing the space out to build a hangar on. The only one we wouldn't get out of is the current shop now up on the apron. I think Jamie mentioned last week that it has a lot of equipment now, but it also has all the electric controls for the airfield terminating that building. So it's highly unlikely we're leaving that building. But it would be our intent to get out of the other hangars.
Thank you.
John, I had one question. This is so simple. I'm sure I already know the answer. But first, thank you for stepping in for Jamie tonight. She wasn't able to be here last minute, and we appreciate it. You did a really nice job of the presentation. We can build whatever size building we want, But the FAA's determined that we need 9,000 square feet to house the eligible equipment. So they're gonna pay for 9,000 square feet of this, and whatever no matter how much we add onto it, the rest is ours.
Correct, yeah. Based upon our airport size, the amount of pavement that we have to maintain snow, they determine the amount of equipment that is warranted for that size of a runway and apron. And then based upon that equipment that's warranted for that size, that determines the square feet of floor space that the building to house that equipment that we're entitled to or warranted.
Very
So,
good, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Thank you, John. Last item is the ordinance redefining the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction boundary. No wonder they call it ETJ. And Planning Commission modification. Assistant City Manager Belser.
Good evening, Colin Belzer, Assistant City Manager. And in Kansas, cities have quite a bit of autonomy in determining how they want to grow and develop. That's why cities can adopt zoning regulations, comprehensive plans, etc. One of those mechanisms is the extraterritorial jurisdiction, which state law authorizes cities to have up to 3 miles around their city limits to have regulatory control, so they can kind of control that destiny of how the city will grow. Hayes has had a ETJ, is how I refer to it from now on, since 1974, fairly progressive. It is a partnership with the county, as they must approve the area as well. And the last time our ETJ was updated was 2016. However, why we're coming to you today is this summer, the Ellis County updated its comprehensive plan. And for actually, since I got here, basically 2 years ago, we've had conversations with the county on how to redo this ETJ with that new Ellis County comprehensive plan. So the blue area represents the extent of our current ETJ. So Planning, Inspection, and Enforcement, or PI, manages regulations for zoning and subdivision for 44,000 acres. That's our city limits and the ETJ. And then, as I said, through multiple conversations, we've systematically reduced this footprint, or suggesting to reduce it. And to go through our thought process, Hayes is very landlocked to the south and west with K-State Research Extension. So any development out that way is highly unlikely, cost prohibitive. So it made sense to obviously kick that out of the current ETJ. Next, we looked at floodplain, which is kind of the orange. Areas that would be not suitable for development or would require lots of different regulations, enforcements in order to actually build something in those floodplains. So just property that's not very desirable. And then next we looked at purple areas where development might already exist. It's not as easy for greenfield development, so a lot of those are kind of rural subdivisions or ranchettes. Some of those properties have oil wells on them that are unlikely to have, residences or commercial businesses built right next door. So when we eliminate all that, we're left with the proposed ETJ, which is the green section. And here's a map of the current one in blue with the proposed, the green. And as I said, the current one is about 44,000 acres. What we're proposing here reduces it to 14,000 acres. And based on historical city growth, it would take about another 235 years for the city of Hayes to encompass that whole green area. Some of the changes that would happen is the county would have to take over more jurisdiction in terms of zoning and regulations. The city would actually have less burden on much of that. And then it also allows the city an opportunity and the Planning Commission to review how do we think we're going to grow in the future? What can we do and revise our comprehensive plan or our future land use map, et cetera. For this change to become effective, the city needs to adopt an ordinance, and the county must adopt a similar resolution, which they did last Monday. And that would formalize the boundaries. In addition to reducing the ETJ, staff's recommending a restructuring of the Planning Commission. So state law requires at least 2 members of your Planning Commission reside in the ETJ if you control an ETJ. Our current structure has 3 members that live in the ETJ. However, since August 2019, we've been vacant one of those positions. And then since April 2020, we've been vacant a city position. So we are recommending to go from a 9-member Planning Commission to 7-member. We've been operating that way for about a year and a half. Currently, no ETJ members, the two that we currently have serving, would be impacted by this. They still reside within that proposed boundary. So basically, the Planning Commission would continue to act as it has for a year and a half. Your options are to adopt an ordinance redefining the ETJ and restructuring the Planning Commission, decline to adopt the ordinance, or direct staff otherwise. Action requested is up for you to consider.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 4004, redefining the boundary of the City of Hayes extraterritorial jurisdiction and modifying the Hayes Area Planning Commission from 9 to 7 members.
I'll second.
Been moved by Commissioner Burgess, seconded by Commissioner Melick. Any other discussion?
Mayor Jacobs, I'll be abstaining from the vote with my process in this.
Okay, thank you.
One
Anybody
thing I
else?
will say is, like you said, the partnership with the county, I think it's a good working relationship we have, and it's something that I know they had talked about, and I think it's a good plan we have.
Okay, if there's nothing else. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colin. Commissioners,
I got none.
Commissioner Melick.
Happy Veterans Day. Everybody should thank a veteran because this is why we're all free in America.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess?
I told my wife I wouldn't embarrass her, but her birthday's on Thursday, so happy birthday.
Happy
Um,
birthday to Tori.
Yeah, she gets to share her birthday with a wonderful, wonderful holiday. So thank you all to the veterans that have done so much for our country. Appreciate all of you, and thank them when you see them. We wouldn't be here without them.
Thank you. I want to congratulate one more time all of our associates that were recognized tonight for their years of service. I can't say often enough what a wonderful staff we have in this city and the work that's done in it. Going out 25, 30, and 35 years certainly demonstrates that. I also want to thank all our veterans and all of our active military for their service. It's a very solemn time for us. As all of you probably know, my son-in-law is a colonel in the Army getting ready to retire. Been deployed 3 times. We have so much to be grateful for, so much to be thankful for of all of our military. So please take the time. If you see them or know them, thank them. Also attend anything in the community that's going on for the veterans on Thursday. No executive session? We're adjourned.